So I've been using the Windows Terminal for quite some time now, and honestly, I really like the Windows Terminal despite the native theme that comes out of the box when you install it. I've dealt with it. I've never really bothered customizing before. I mean, I've used a bunch of terminal applications, and honestly, the PowerShell is so much better than majority of the ones that I've used. It's actually insane. I've used other terminal applications that were based on Bash, and I don't know, I didn't really like them because they seemed to crash a lot and they were very annoying to configure. But I actually took some time to play around with the PowerShell and its configuration file, and let me just tell you, I am actually in shock. Like, I can't believe I've never actually done this before. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how you can customize your Windows PowerShell terminal. And if you want to install it, you just have to go to the Microsoft Store. So just type in Microsoft Store, and you're just going to type in Windows Terminal, and you're going to go over to here, Windows Terminal free. Okay, you're going to click here, and you're just going to install it. So once you have the Windows Terminal installed, we're going to open it up. You're going to hit Control, comma, and it's going to open up this profiles.json file. So this is pretty much the JSON file that the terminal is going to be using to determine which, shell you want to use, which profiles you want to use, which themes you want to use, and etc. So let's say if I want to change up the color of our terminal, the way it looks, we can actually go ahead and find some themes. So there's a website called adamcorp.github.io/themes, and it has literally a bunch of themes that you can go through. Like I'm saying, like there's literally a whole lot of themes, and you can actually make your own themes as well, because all these themes are just a JSON object with different properties for the color. So for example, we're going to go inside the schemes property, which is an array, which it maps to an array, and we're going to paste in what we just copied, and you can see this is literally just an object, a JSON object, and we're going to save. So if you have any issues, like if there are if there's an error, it'll tell you. It'll say fail to reload settings. It'll tell you which line and which column. As you can see right over here, there's an error right over here. So we're going to just go back and we're going to save again, and there's no error. So now we actually have to use this seashells theme. So we're going to go ahead and inside the profiles. Now you're probably wondering, well, there's 3 of these, which one do I actually use? Okay, so by default, the one that is selected is this one over here, default profile. Okay, you see how we have this long array of characters. We have 61C54BBD and a bunch. That's the GUID. That one is pretty much just a unique number or a unique string that maps to the profile that you want to use. So since this one, you can see it maps to this one over here, matches that one, that means we're going to be using the Windows PowerShell. Okay, but you can also just change it. So I can just copy, let's say if I want to use the native command prompt that Windows has out of the box, I can just paste that profile in here. And if I were to open a new tab, it's going to open up the CMD instead of the PowerShell. It's all up to you on what your preferences are. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and opt into this theme. So we're going to go ahead and do the color scheme property. And we're going to write seashells. We're going to save, and notice how the color just changes, which honestly looks pretty cool. I like the color a lot. There's really not much to it. Okay, so the color scheme is obviously something that you can modify. You can change the background color if you want. Notice how I can change it to, white. Like I said, you can customize your own themes. You can go through and play around with it. There's a bunch of different colors that you can do. You can change the foreground color, all of these. It's all up to you. And of course, you can add a bunch of other themes. So we can look over here. We can see that there are a whole bunch. And let's see. We can just go through here. I'll leave a link in the description. Don't worry. And yeah, this is just pretty awesome. Okay, well, what else can we actually do aside from customizing the color scheme? Well, you can actually change the font too. So for example, if you have a font installed on your operating system, all you have to do is pass in the font face property and type the name of the font. So I'm going to use Source Code Pro. We just have to type the exact name for it, and there you go. The font literally changes. And we can also change the size of the font. We would do font size, and we would pass in an integer. So I'm going to do 10 because I like the font size a little bit smaller. And there are a bunch of other properties that we can pass in too. I'm going to leave a link to this page. It pretty much tells you a bunch of different properties that you can pass in. So we can, pass in the initial columns and rows. Okay, let's just make sure that there's no errors. Okay, so let's open it up again. And there you go. just like that. Cool. And yeah, we can also change the cursor shape too. And the cursor shape we can do, I guess, underscore. So let's do underscore. And that changes to an underscore, so you have that little underscore on the bottom, which is pretty cool. We can also set an icon too. So you see how over here we have the default PowerShell icon. If I want, I can set an icon. So I've downloaded an icon onto my desktop. So we're gonna do, let's pass in the absolute path. So it's in users/Anson/desktop. And we're gonna do Charmander.png, which is a Pokemon. And you can see how it just changes on the top. And if I want to change the background image, I can just pass in the background image property, and I can pass in the absolute path to the file, so it's in desktop as well, and it's called mountain.jpg. If I save, we get this really nice night view of the mountain, and we can also change the opacity, so I can do background image opacity, and I think I could do 0. Yep, that wouldn't really do much. If I do 0.1, actually, oh, there we go, 0.8. It's a little bit darker. Let's do 0.3. And you can see we have a pretty nice background, and we can just see all of our files, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm sure there are a bunch of other things that we can change too. We can even change the starting directory on where our terminal should open up. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's say if I wanted to open up on my documents folder all the time, or whatever current folder I'm working on right now, we can do /users/Anson/documents/Discord.js YouTube tutorials. Let's save. And again, if we get any issues, it's going to tell us. And if I open this up, notice how it opens me right over here. And yeah, so we can also set up some key bindings as well. So by default, if I want to create a new tab on my terminal, I have to do Control-Shift-T, which is quite annoying because I'd rather just do, Control-T. You can see right over here, it's, doing the caret symbol T because I'm trying to do Control-T. Let's go ahead and go inside the key binding section, and we just need to pass in an object. So command new tab. We can have multiple keys. So for the new tab, we can set a bunch of different key bindings for it. Right now, if I try a new tab over here, it's still gonna work with the default. But I want to make it so that it works with Control-T instead of Control-Shift-T. Control plus T. Just like that. And now, if I Control-T, it works. So yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I just wanted to show you guys how to customize your Windows terminal, especially for those who are on Windows. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.